a little g, little God, because God is in everyone. It's no big deal, right? So they had that view, God is in everything. Now, the Jews are not pantheists. The Jews are not polytheists. Polytheist means many gods. The Jews believe in the God of the Bible, like us. You see how close we are to the Jewish people? Pray for them, folks. There's a lot of them in Long Island. Pray for them. The God of the Bible was an uncreated creature without beginning, transcending infinitely transcending the universe. Beautiful words. The God of Christianity transcends infinitely the whole universe. Infinitely greater than the universe, and the universe is just a speck of dust to him. Let's put this in perspective. Now, how do the people who lived with him, the Jewish people, Peter, James, and John, the closest people who lived with Jesus, how did they believe Jesus is God? The answer is this. They have seen a moral glory along with the claims that Jesus made. They also seen the transcendent personal greatness. Believe it or not, matched the claim that the man was claiming. Now, let me tell you, I was listening to the gospel on the way here, Doreen in the car. Jesus was in the boat. The storm hit the boat real big time. He was sleeping. And the disciples quickly woke him up. Master, we are perishing. He got up and he just rebuked the wind. Stop, wind. Blow it. Stop right now. Boom. Stopped. And he turned around to the disciples. Where is your faith? So they said, who is this man? Even the wind and the storm obey him. Do you see that? They saw the transcendent glory of this man called Jesus. Literally 5 feet away, they saw him in action. Do you have trouble to understand why Jewish people, it was impossible to believe a human could be God after seeing these things? What do you think is going through their minds? Another one, I was listening. There's a Jewish woman. I think she's a widow, or the poor woman whose young son died. A lot of people were crying for the son in the funerals, and Jesus passed by. And Jesus said, cry not. The young man is alive. They all laughed. And he spoke to the young man, stand up, wake up. The young man woke up and quickly, and Jesus told the mother, somebody give him some food to eat. And everyone was stunned. He raised a dead man. He loved. Not only raised, he loved us. They see a God man who loved us. Can you imagine, after all this thing, what is going through their minds? So, after seeing all these things, there's only one conclusion. And he walked on waters too. He walked on the sea. All these people who lived with him, who were willing to die for him. They not just believed in him, they were willing to die for him. In fact, Peter died, martyred, crucified, upside down. Paul, I think, is beheaded on the spot. A lot of them. To that intensity. I shared it with my mom Friday. I quote the verse. You know, Chinese culture, family is everything. And there is a verse. I preached last Sunday, so I thought it was good for my mom. I shared in Mandarin, I spoke to her in Mandarin. I said, Jesus said, if you don't love me, if you love your parents, your children, your wife, and your family more than me, you are not worthy of my follower. I said that 2 times, my mom. And she was shocked. She was stunned. I mean, she has been a Christian every Sunday going to church for 40 years, perhaps. Methodist Christian. I have all the respect, honor for my mom. When I said that, I know it's going to grip her. And I'm her son. I shared it with her. And she said quietly, I don't want to criticize the Bible, but that passage is hard. So I explained more to her so that she gets it more. My point is this. This man is so powerful, he claimed the impossible, and he demands the impossible from us. How do you deal with that? Have you wrestled with this that way? Are you willing to put your life on the line for Jesus the way they did? One thing's for sure. This explains why Christianity is so exclusive. This explains the exclusivity of Christianity. Have you heard people that say, well, you Christians are so exclusive. Only Jesus. All about us. Is this fair? Every religion says our founder is a great leader who teaches you how to live. If you live it this way, if you do this way, you get to God. Morality and goodness are good enough. Let me tell you this. A lot of Christians come to church, carry the morality baggage into our lives, into the church. Just because you're a Christian, it doesn't mean that you are clear of all this, including me. We all carry our emotional, spiritual, cultural baggage into our lives, into the church. And let me tell you this. There's a lot of moralistic Christians. Christianity comes along and says, no, your situation is so dire that morality and goodness will never be good enough. You see, the point is, morality, no matter how moral you try to be and be good and all this, it's never good enough because our situation is so dire. It's like a person in the third stage cancer or whatever, is really desperate. There is no help anymore. They send him to the hospice or whatever it is. Spiritually, we are in that condition. But we think by doing good deeds, we can still pull it off. So the sooner and the better we understand this, how die-hard depraved we are, our spiritual condition in our own life, the better it is. The unique Son of God himself had to come to die for you. You have to put all your hope, your rest, and trust in him. That's the way to get saved. The way to get salvation is put all your hope, all your trust, all your rest in Jesus. Is that exclusive? Some people say Christianity is very narrow. It is so, if there are 5 doctors give let's say a patient 5 diagnoses. Everyone, 4 of them is the same, or 1 is different. So you say to the guy with the different diagnosis, who could be right? You are so narrow. Do you call this narrow? It's not narrow. It's either right or wrong, but not narrow. Christianity is either right or wrong. You can accept it. Jesus is right or wrong. You can accept it and run with all your heart for him. Serve him. Put your life in him. Put all your trust and hope in him. Or you reject him, walk away. But you cannot say he's narrow. He's being unreasonable. If Christmas is right, everything else about Christianity makes sense. The miracles, exclusive claims, the need for just good works, the need for good works, but complete rest and trust to Christ. If Christmas is wrong, everything else falls apart. Now we come to point 2. God with us. First is he's God. Second point, he's God with us. Second point. This is the beautiful part, right? Everybody loves it because he is God. He's with us. This part is beautiful and soft. You like that? The great God with all his majesty, infinitely greater than the universe, put himself in the form of likeness. Witness. Jesus emptied his glory, came to this world to be with us. And not only with us, to become like one of us without sins. He has come alongside. He has entered into intimate human personal relationship with us. Now let me tell you this. Before Jesus came to this world, in the Old Testament, you got nothing like this. Everything was terrifying. In the Old Testament, when the people came to Job, when God appeared to Job, what did God say to Job? Where were you when I created the world? Where were you? Answer me. It's a whirlwind, a tornado, and hurricane. When God descended on Mount Sinai with Moses, it was rumbling, thunders. That's how God came to Israel. Compared to Christmas. When God appeared to Abraham, he appears as smoking fire, moving through the air. When God appeared to Moses, to the children of Israel, I said like pillar of fire and all this. And when God appeared to Israel in the temple, the people of Israel Moses and Solomon saw the Shekinah glory. So powerful and majestic that people could not get into the room, cannot get into the temple. The glory and the Shekinah glory of God came down. It was so powerful, so beautiful. You know? So when Moses asked to see God, Moses told to God, God, show me thy presence. Show me thy presence. And God told him, you can't see my face. If you see my face, you will die. That's Old Testament. You see me, you die. However, you can see my back. I'll show you my back. So, that's what he did. I will show you my back. I'll put you in the cleft of the rock. You can't see my face. So that's all it is. You see, that's all people of Israel could manage with seeing the transcendent God, to experience that God, experience the God with us. Even Moses had pleaded with God. Very different. Until Jesus show up. Now, we get into the presence of God. Very, very different. You see, in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and chapter 4, Paul says, Moses has put a veil over his face. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, he spent time in the presence of God. His face shined with the glory of God. So much that the Israelites pleaded with him, please cover your face, hurting our eyes. Even. Bible said that was a covenant that actually kills. That was a document that kills, because the Ten Commandments kills you. You can never live up to it. But now, Jesus came. He removed all the veil. Because in 2 Corinthians 3:4 says, God commanded the light to shine out of darkness and shine into our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. No one could see God, experience God, but now we can. So I thought about how did this happen. Let me just give you a quick, simple explanation. You know, in the Old Testament, the circumcisions of the flesh. But now in the New Testament, New Covenant, God circumcised our hearts spiritually by the Holy Spirit. In the Old Testament, God wrote the Ten Commandments on the rock. In the New Testament, the New Covenant, God wrote that Ten Commandments in our hearts. That's the difference. That's where the presence of God literally came into our personal being. That's why the Holy Spirit dwells within us. That's why you can grieve the Holy Spirit if you do something wrong, because He lives in you. You see how close He is with us now? Before they have to plead with God, Moses said, let me see thy presence now. Now He lives in us. We have changed completely the new covenant. Moses will be jumping up and down if he saw every one of you. How did you manage that? Do you realize what this means? I was denied, but you got it. You know, Jesus Christ made you able to meet God. You can know Him personally without terror. You can talk to Him personally. All of this